Hi, welcome to my first Unspoken ID video. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my political journey from the left to the right. So, let me back this up a bit and kind of tell you the origins of, my political beliefs. So, when I was a kid, I was raised in a fairly conservative family, as a lot of people are, because most adults are conservatives. My dad's a fairly generic conservative, although his beliefs have changed throughout the years, as anybody else's has. And my mom's conservative in the loosest sense. She finds the idea of ethno-nationalism to be frankly hilarious. And I don't blame her, to be honest. On paper, when you explain to a normal person raised in the Judean society that we live in that your beliefs are that we should live separately as races, that doesn't really bode well with people. I think that's mainly just from years and years of media brainwash, Our grandparents didn't think this way, but they do now. Why is that? Well, that's another video. But to put it nicely, I was basically a 10-year-old generic-ass Republican. I didn't really know what I believed in at the time or anything. I just knew that the conservatives were right because that's what I was raised on. And eventually one of my closest friends, a couple of my closest friends actually, they turned over to atheism. And usually when you're 13, you're in middle school and you become an atheist, you usually become fairly liberal, right? We still like to make edgy jokes about, gays and blacks and shit like that, as any kids do. But, we all slowly turn, liberal. I think mainly as a reaction against our parents, as a lot of people do, right? I mean, we're kids, we rebel, that's the shit, right? Because we're raised in a society that tells us we should rebel against our parents, not respect them, believe they're stupid, all these terrible things, right? Well, to put it shortly, I slowly became more agnostic. I never really went full atheist, but I definitely went agnostic for a long time, leaning on atheism. And with that, I became more liberal over time. And by high school, I was fairly left, right? And it only progressed from there. And within 1 year from that, let's say 10th grade, I was, maybe not. Yeah, 10th grade, I think that was the time frame. I went full anarcho-communist, It had just been left pilling, right? Left and right, I was in Facebook groups, I was in, online communities, I was just watching YouTube content, I was very pro-LGBT, all that kind of shit, because I was told I was supposed to, And, it was like that for a while. I think it was a good year or so of that. From the end of 9th grade until the end of 10th grade, I was a leftist. I was an SJW, I was the boogeyman people talk about. I had the generic ass haircut, I tried to make myself, I had the hipstery glasses, I would have, flannels on, shit like that. I still wear flannels, but, you know what I mean. Your generic hipster kind of soy boy look, that was me. Shitty mustache, because I can't grow facial hair very well. But that was me. That was definitely me. I was that generic soy boy, white knight, feminist type. Very on the left, very radicalized. Because I was always into politics. And I think the more you're into politics, the farther radicalized you go. It just depends on your leanings, I guess. I know a lot of people think that's like, oh, you're just flipping from one side to the other. Which I guess, if you weren't really paying attention to anything, that's kind of true, right? But I think it's just the more you're into politics as a person, the more that attracts you, the more you're going to lean one way or the other once you decide to take that pill, right? And especially on the right, because that's the right answer, to be honest, you know? That's the inevitable conclusion. And of course you have to keep discovering new identities, but that's later. So I started watching just to kind of laugh at them, actually. I would watch Amazing Atheist and Sargon of Akkad and, you know, the YouTube skeptics around that time. Let's say, what was this? 2014, somewhere around there. So it was when the skeptics were really booming. And eventually I was like, hey, they're actually not that wrong about the feminism thing. There are some major problems there, and with Islam as well. I wasn't really down with the, what I thought at the time was gay bashing and transphobia and homophobia and sexism and all that kind of shit, right? Because I was that kind of guy. You know, I was that annoying fucking Tumblr Rita or whatever, you know. I was that fucking guy. And I got annoyed by that, but eventually their arguments started to make more and more sense to me. And eventually I found Amazing Atheist to just be laughable, honestly. Now I'm jumping ahead about a year here, because during that time was basically my de-radicalization from the left into, you know, left of center kind of guy. And I stayed there for a while as well. That was until, I'd say, the end of 11th grade for me. And to put it in perspective, I'm 19 now, or just about to be 19. So this is about 2 years ago now. And I was still pretty left of center. And eventually that became centrist. That was a big time in my centrist, you know, right-leaning centrist days. I was a big Sargon of Akkad fan. That was the main guy I watched. I really liked Sargon around that time. I really thought he was an interesting voice. And I really did not like the alt-right at the time at all. I thought they were just dumb. And this was about the time I started browsing Polmore. Because I was always a 4chan kid. I was always on Mew, the music board. But I decided to kind of make my way to Pol, just to see what it was. And I stuck around, actually. And that kind of helped with the red pilling, the first red pills, you know, really establishing my anti-feminist position and establishing my anti-left position. But besides that, I was still fairly liberal on certain topics like gay rights, you know, trans people, you know, fucking blacks and Jews and all that kind of thing, right? I was very liberal on that, or I guess what the liberal position would be on that. So let's fast forward about 6 months here, and now I would consider myself conservative again. I'm kind of back where I used to be, MAGA supporter at this point. Just kind of in line with my dad again. But this time, I was a little more centered in that, because I had actually come to these conclusions on my own, not just through him, which was nice, because I could still call out the things that I thought were bullshit they said, without it just being rebellious oh, I'm a fucking leftist kind of talk. And I think it was around that time that the JonTron scandal happened, where he had that race realism debate with Destiny. And I remember seeing that and just being like, holy shit, he's not wrong. His arguments weren't the best posed, but, I mean, even he admits that, right? But holy shit, this guy isn't wrong. And that's really when I got red-pilled on race. So that was mid-12th grade, end of high school. I got red-pilled on race, basically. And that was the tipping point for me. Once I got red-pilled on that, I basically OD'd on red pills, and within those next 6 months or so, to the point where I started college, I was just non-stop ODing on these red pills, and by the time I was in college, I was listening to The Daily Show. I was a regular listener of them, and I'm watching Richard Spencer. I'm alt-right now, right? And it's just progressed from there. I actually see problems with the alt-right now. That, again, these are things I would discuss in later videos. I'm firmly anti-egalitarian, firmly anti-gay, firmly pro-white. My main view is being pro-white. That is my main deal. I'm an ethno-nationalist. I'm a white nationalist. That's mainly what I focus on for now, and that's probably what I will be focusing on for a while, unless, again, my views change. Although I doubt they will. They've been cemented in the right, I guess, for about a year and a half now, and I really see no signs of that slowing down. I can't even listen to a liberal anymore talk without completely cringing. So I doubt they're going to be, convincing me anytime soon. So yeah, to put it nicely, 4 years ago, I was a anarcho-communist, and today I am a proud white nationalist. I hope you liked the video. It's my first try making videos. So if anybody sees this, give me some criticism, whatnot, what I can fix. Thanks for watching, if you're watching, all that shit. Alright, peace.